Welcome back, everybody, to another Guild Wars 2 video. My name is Inks, and today we're going to tackle part 3 of the 3-part series I'm working on about Ascended equipment. This particular video is about Ascended weapons. Now, the order in which these videos were released is a little bit misleading and a little bit off, and that's because I had people asking me that they wanted me to do an Ascended armor video. So I made that part 1, but that's not necessarily the order of acquisition. So trinkets, or Ascended trinkets, which are earrings, accessories, and back piece as well as necklace, should be your first steps into the Ascended equipment world. Step 2 after that is complete should be Ascended weapons, which is this video. And step 3, which was actually part 1, should be your Ascended armor. That is probably the most expensive and gives you the least stat bump from the 3 different categories. So let's get into Ascended weapons. There are 21 Ascended weapon sets. Each set has a different attribute prefix. All of the sets share a base weapon model, but they're colored differently, which is based on the primary attribute of the prefix. The exception to this are weapons of the Sunless. These drop from Toquatl, which is a world boss in Guild Wars 2, and they have a unique color as well as a smoky effect on the weapon. This also shares a stat of Rabid with another set, which is called Grizzlemouse. But they look differently. They're a special weapon skin that drops from Toquatl. So how can you obtain these weapons? Well, you can craft them, which we'll get into in a second, or if you get lucky, they can randomly drop from Fractals of the Mists, Toquatl the Sunless, as well as his special set drops from him, Triple Trouble Worm, exotic champion loot bags, reward chests from guild missions, and rank up chests from World vs. World. The problem with this method, of course, like I mentioned in trinkets and armor, is that this is random. You don't know exactly which chest you're going to get. You may want Berserkers, which is Zojas, and you might get Bygars, which is actually Knights. So to ensure you get the right weapon prefix, you should craft these. Now up on the screen you should see a complete set so that you can determine which attribute points you actually want. So like I said, if you want Berserkers, which is power, precision, ferocity, you're going to want Zojas. At this point it might also be worth noting that there are 8 different skin names: Crimson, Citrine, Viridian, Cobalt, Terracotta, Sunless, Calcite, and Violet. Now, in order to craft these, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have your crafting maxed to 500 for either Weaponsmith, Huntsman, and or Artificing. Once you have those maxed to 500, you're going to want to buy the Ascended Inscription Recipe. Now, these cost 21,000 apiece, and you'll need to pick from a list that matches the stats that you want. So, if you want Zojas, you want to make sure you buy the Zoja's Berserker inscription. There are 3 caveats to this. One of them is if you want Ventaris, which is Nomads, that's toughness, vitality, healing power, you need to buy this inscription from Drytop. The weapon recipes themselves, which we'll get into in a second, can be bought from the trading post, and they can also drop from the chests out there during the sandstorm. Veratas, which is Sinister stats, you need to buy this inscription from Silver Wastes. This costs you 20 silver and 600 bandit crests. And last but not least are Keeper inscriptions. These can be bought from the trading post because they used to drop in the open world from Scarlet's Secret Lair. Now, if you still have some of those leftover keys, of course, you could still get the inscription and or the weapon recipes from there, but most of us will not have access to that anymore, and the trading post is really the only way in order to get this particular recipe set. So once you have your Ascended inscription, the next thing you're going to want to do is get your Ascended weapon recipe. Now, depending on which weapon you want, you'll buy the accommodating one. These cost 5 laurels plus 3 gold, unless, of course, like I said before, Veratas, Keepers, and Ventari can all be bought from the trading post as well. Once you have that, of course, make sure you learn it on the proper crafting profession. we are going to use an Ascended Reaver, which is the axe as our example here. But you're going to need to make an Ascended Inscription. Since you've learned the recipe, you are simply going to make an Orichalcum Imbued Inscription, which is 5 Ectos, 5 Orichalcum Plated Dowels, and 5 to 30 of Tier 6 materials, depending on which inscription you're trying to make. For example, if you want to make Zojas, you're going to need to use Vials of Powerful Blood. The next item on the list is Deldrimor Steel Plated Dowels. These take 3 Deldrimor Steel Ingots and 3 Spiritwood Planks to make one of these, 10 Globs of Dark Matter, which are obtainable from breaking down exotic weapons, and 10 piles of Crystalline Dust, which is the Tier 6 dust. The next thing you're going to need for each weapon you make is a Vision Crystal. These require 5 Bloodstone Bricks, 5 Imperial Stars, 5 Dragonite Ingots. These materials, of course, are all covered in the previous 2 videos, so if you've watched those, you'll already know what's entailed there. In the meantime, you should see a screenshot on the screen that shows what this entails, and you're going to need an Augur Stone, which currently costs 20 skill points. Now, there are changes coming to Guild Wars 2, which we just found out about last week, where skill points are no longer going to be a thing. We don't have a surefire way of knowing how you're going to buy an Augur Stone, but we know that leftover skill points currently are going to transfer into a new crafting material or currency. This currency is more than likely going to be used to buy Augur Stones. So you could buy some now if you wanted to, but they will still be purchasable in the future with using the same method. Once you have those 2 pieces, you then simply need to make the remaining 2 pieces. Using the Ascended Reaver as our example, you're going to need 5 piles of Crystalline Dust, 50 Thermocatalytic Reagents, and 3 Deldrimor Steel Ingots for the blade. And the haft, which is the handle, you're going to need 2 Spiritwood Planks, 5 piles of Crystalline Dust, and 50 Thermocatalytic Reagents. Now these are going to differ depending on what you need. You'll see a table on your screen, which is from the wiki. This breaks it all down. Almost all of them need Deldrimor Steel Ingots and Spiritwood Planks, with the exception of bows, which also need Elonian Leather Squares. These materials, of course, are made starting at level 450 plus, and require the time-gated material of lumps of Mithrilium, globs of Elder Spirit Residue, or spools of thick Elonian Cord. These can only be made once per day. So as you're leveling up to 500, you can start making these time-gated materials. As I've been talking this entire time, you will have seen charts and tables on the screen which can better explain the ingredients that you're going to need for these. These will unlock as you level up those crafting professions. So Weaponsmith, for example, can make Spiritwood Planks and Deldrimor Steel Ingots. Huntsman can make all 3 of them. This includes the Elonian Leather Squares as well. And Artificer, of course, can make Spiritwood Planks and Deldrimor Steel Ingots as well. So as you can tell, weapons are much easier or simpler to craft than armor is. There are less materials involved here, and that's why this is the second thing that you should shoot for after you're done making your trinkets. That just about wraps it up for everything I have to say on the subject of crafting. I hope you guys found this video useful. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave comments below if something wasn't exactly clear. If you're still confused about the process, I'll be happy to answer those questions below. Please remember to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.